We are back at the backyard golf course. Even though it is June, it is a cool morning here. Most of this video will be about landscaping, cleaning up that river side of the golf course. I spread topsoil last fall. It's grown up in weeds. You can see it over there. It looks disgusting. So we're gonna get in a machine here soon, work on that, get that all torn up, cleaned up, and planted with some nice fairway grass, Kentucky Bluegrass. But first, I want to feed these greens. My golf greens have grown in pretty good, but I want to push them a bit more. That is very, very new sand they're growing in. I picked up a USGA root zone mix, and there's not a lot of nutrient in there. So I've been putting down some granular fertilizer, but now I want to give it a treat with some liquid fertilizer. While trying to build a backyard golf course is a fairly crazy task. Back in the day, I used to grow giant pumpkins, and I don't know, that might be a more crazy task. A great community of growers. I learned a lot about just simple growing techniques. I'm actually using a lot of that here with this turf. And I've had these liquid fertilizers kicking around for years. Like, some of these are probably 12 plus years old. We're gonna see if they still have some power to them. I have 4 products here. I'm going to mix them all together, and they're all relatively natural products. There's no crazy chemicals in here, so that's why I'm not too worried about the age of these things. First up is some CalMax 200. Great for your tomatoes and peppers, and I think it's also going to work well on our bentgrass greens. A lot of micronutrients in here: calcium, magnesium, iron. This one's totally natural. It is a kelp and fish fertilizer. I don't love the fish in there just for the scent. I don't want the skunks out trying to dig up the golf green, but I think with a light application we'll be okay. Still smells the same as it used to. Disgusting. Up next, a product called Essential Plus. It was popular back in the day, another natural one with some sugars in there, some wetting agents, some amino acids, humic acids, just a lot of natural stuff to feed that soil. Oh, also smells disgusting. And lastly, from our giant pumpkin mix is just a powder form of humic and fulvic acid. This humic and fulvic, it really just goes into the soil, and it's supposed to bind to the nutrients and allow them to be taken up by the roots easier. We'll see. And the best part about coming out in the morning, I can see my tracks. I've got another batch mixed up, and we'll go down to the larger green. That foliar spray has been on the green now for 8 hours, so I'm going to water it in. No damage yet. It looks good still, so I want to drive that water into the root system and get it to now feed from below. We're back at the backyard golf course, and the main area, the 2 greens and the fairway, it's grown in really well, and I have to get on this second phase here. I'll call it the back 9. I probably have 5 tee boxes that I plan to do over here. I got to get into cleanup mode here. I want to get some grass growing so that we can play a nice round here. The large green's right over there. I have a tee box I want to do down in that hole there, and then up on this nice elevated area, I think we get a really good look down to the small green. I've got a whole bunch of junk over here I have to clean up. This is that compost. I did that video a few back where I grew a 700-pound pumpkin in this compost last year. Took the pumpkin out, cut it off the vine, and then I just left everything here. And now it's turning into a pile of weeds. So I want to get that moved around here. Not only do I want to get this compost piled up because it's an ugly mess and I need the room for the tee box back there, but we get those snapping turtles coming out of the river. The water's warming up as we get closer to summer here. And once that water reaches a certain temperature, they come piling out of the river, and we're gonna get 5, 6, 7, 8 snapping turtles laying eggs in this compost, and then they hatch out in the fall. So I just want to get it piled up so that we're not disturbing those nests later on in the year. That frees up some room somewhat. I really want to use this someday. That's why I'm piling it up here, even though it is in my way. I think it is just the best soil amendment. It is made of purely maple leaves and a lot of coffee grounds, thousands of pounds of coffee grounds and millions of leaves. So I'd like to someday get one of those spreaders. I can't even find one around here. Those Ecolon gas-powered spreaders. You just load them up and you can lay down a nice light application of this stuff. I think it would be so good all along the fairway over there on that Kentucky Bluegrass. This is what happens. The weeds grow up. So I want to clean this off, try to keep it clean here this year. In case I do get one of those spreaders, I can then apply it to the golf course. I didn't mean to bore you with compost talk, but I just wanted to clean these up. They just look better and I may get a chance to use them on the fairway. I think they're going to be a wild card here. There is so much nutrient value in this stuff. Add fertility to our turf. And what we have now with those piles cleaned up is a better look here at this tee box. This is going to be one of our longer shots, maybe 125. Can't get a ton of length on this course, but you're elevated. That green down there just looks great. Got to move some trees here probably later on, but the next step is to really get this all clear. This is nice topsoil you're looking at. Between me and the camera is really nice topsoil. And I got to get on that power rake and get this all cleaned up so that we can get this seeded. I've had this one planned for a few years. Just a nice view here. You're elevated. The river's right here. Very nice look. You've got that green down there and it's a small green, only 1,200 square feet. So it's a tough one to hit. The pond comes into play on the left, so you've got to carry that pond too. I just think this is going to be a really fun hole to hit from. It's early morning. I'm half asleep, but I want to get the fairway area fertilized. It's really nice to do when there is moisture and dew on the grass because you can see your tracks and you can get nice even coverage. I'm using just a regular slow release granular fertilizer, 24/612. This young Kentucky Bluegrass, it's really only had about 6 weeks this year to grow in, and I planted it super late last fall, so it really just got established last fall. It's looking pretty good to be only this many weeks into the season. I've been applying that granular fertilizer every 3 weeks, and that slow release will work for that duration. But now you can kind of see some light and dark areas in the turf, and that just is hungry grass, so it's time for another application now. Time to get my steps in. I always underestimate how much walking that actually is. There's a lot of square feet out there. I was doing 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And now for the best part, the most relaxing part by far is watching this homemade irrigation system work very well. Lightly watering everything in. Well, I've got the work boots back on. It's time to get that power rake on the skid steer. I haven't ran it since last fall, so I have to get kind of back in the zone with that. I got to get all of this topsoil cleaned up. I can't stand looking at those weeds. I left it way too long, and we really have to get some grass growing on this new soil. I'm by no means a professional on this piece of equipment, but what I try to do is just lightly touch these wheels to the soil, and that lengthens the vehicle to make it a lot more smooth. And then this gigantic, ridiculous looking spiked cylinder spins quickly, and it will shoot all of the junk, the rocks and the sticks and everything, out of the soil, and you're left with a really nice seed bed. I'm really interested to see how good I can make this look because I've let it get way too overgrown here. It's just terrible looking, so looking forward to see it come back as nice black soil. Sorry, I was just shooting a 2004 Toyota Land Cruiser commercial. Underneath my feet are a ton of rocks. If you've watched any of the early day videos of this property, you know that it was very rocky here. So many rocks popped up, and this is where I put them. My feet are about 7 feet up from the main grade here, and below that I dug about a 6-foot hole. So there's so much rock in here. Once I had all of the rock here, I then brought in a couple dump truck loads of this heavy clay soil, and I coated the entire rock pile with that clay. On top of that clay layer, I did spread some of our topsoil here. I have a rotor right back there, a sprinkler head on top of this pile, and I think it's just a nice mound behind the green. If you hit long, you're going to be into this area. It's not going to be even footing. I'm going to grow it out longer here, some nice deep Kentucky Bluegrass rough. You're going to pay a price if you miss the green long here because you're going to be on top of this pile of rock. Mowing in the dew, just like the golf courses do. This has to be so much easier than mowing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon like I've been doing when the greens are dry. The sun's at a tough angle sometimes depending on which way I'm going. But this should be a lot easier because you can see my footprints. I'm going to be able to see my tracks perfectly. And just like that, the turtles have shown up here, so perfect timing. Flipping this compost pile, I'll leave this be for the rest of the season because there's a bunch of turtles here. These are big enough turtles too, some old ones. There's another one on that side. There's been a few here the last day or two, so they'll keep coming out now for a few days. They seem to love this stuff. It's probably the heat in there, and it's definitely a nice soft material, but it's pretty cool. Every year we get the snapping turtles coming out of the river. I'll let the turtles be now. I'm going to leave this pile alone as well all year. These eggs should hatch in September. Usually by the fall they hatch. They just love this stuff. There's one completely buried in the pile there. I don't know what it is about this compost, but they love it. One thing I've been neglecting this year is this pond. It's our water hazard and it looks absolutely disgusting. If you look back to some of that drone video last fall when I was planting the fairway with grass seed, it looked so good. It was like blue and clear. And then what happened, I believe, is that fertilizer, I put down that starter fertilizer, pushed this turf pretty hard last fall just to get it going. And we had some hard rains, and then in the spring the snow melted, and I think I got a lot of runoff into the pond. I know I did. And that fertilizer has fertilized the water, so it is green. We've got some algae bloom going. I'm going to attempt to get it back to some clarity. This is a pond clarifier. It's supposed to like bind the nitrogen in the water and other things like that without getting too technical. I'm just gonna fire some in right now. Hard to believe this does anything, but I have had good results in the past. Now for the more difficult application. This is a pond dye. I've used it in the past as well, and it's not a chemical. I don't like putting chemicals down here. You can see I don't really spray a lot of herbicides. Try not to get into too much chemical. This is actually a food-based dye. They started using it for spraying crops, basically. It would show the aircraft where they sprayed. So it's just a blue dye that is safe for the water. The only issue is I get it all over myself every time I apply it. That is a packet. That lasts about a month here, and that's all I need in this pond. I'm down to 3 of these, and I had 12, and I have never once got this in the pond without turning something on my body blue. Here we go. I should have wore pants. It's windy. There's my aerator. The bubbles are right there. I'm going to try to land it on top. Oh, that was a good one. My best throw ever. So hopefully I can get this pond back to respectable water quality. We'll see how it goes here in the next few days. And here we are 24 hours after that pond dye was thrown into the pond, and that is the color you get. A little bit more visually appealing than that disgusting green color. I'm back, just a quick update. Didn't show you the greens after I fed them. That jungle juice mixture that I had, all those 10-plus-year-old liquid fertilizers, mixed them together. I was a little bit worried I was going to harm these greens, but they liked it. They look great. I've also switched to a granular fertilizer, a different one, and I think it's been exceptional. Really nice fertilizer. I've been spoon feeding a little bit more, trying to do it weekly, rotating between granular and liquid. I think I was just really slow and not feeding enough. This sand came from a pit. It was USGA root zone mix, but really nothing in it. No nutrient value because it is such a new golf green. But now I've been feeding a little bit more often, not going heavy on the feedings, but man, do these both look good. It looks like carpeting. Starting to fill in and green up here. It's looking very good on this side of the property. The other side that I'm working on slowly is looking terrible. It's just a mess of weeds all over here and then over by that shed. My goal a month from now is to have this with some nice Kentucky Bluegrass growing all across it. Been tied up for the last couple weeks, so it's been slow getting some time to work on this, but enough is enough. I have to get back at it, and that will be our next project here. Getting the fairway and a couple tee boxes in over there to just add to the amount of golf we can play here from different angles. Thanks for watching this one. I'll be back soon with an update over here. And then this gigantic spiked cylinder. Come on, man. Come on, man. You're too loud. You're way too loud.